Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Friday late night live stream. So sorry this is a little bit too late. Want to do a different time. Had a lot of things going on, but here is what is happening in the world. First of all, before we get into AI agents and Coinbase delving into that arena, which I got to tell you is a very smart move. I think we all know what's going on in macroeconomics. There's probably about a bajillion different videos out about how well the economy is doing. Now, some people will always just say, no, the economy is horrible, it's awful because my life sucks. However, there are some good things going on there. First of all, as we can see here, consumer price index is actually down. From last time, we're at 0.3%. The expectation was 0.3. We hit 0.2. Great. CPI year over year was at 2.7. The expectation was 2.5. We hit 2.4. So because of that, Jerome Powell probably has to think about, hey, maybe we should think about cutting rates. But he has to take a look at core CPI, which is pretty much in line with what the expectations were. And core CPI year over year also in expectations. Jobless claims pretty much in expectations. And unemployment rate down just a skosh, not too bad. So with this all happening, people are like, it's going to cut rates, and they're not going to cut squat. Because right here for the next meeting on 18th of March, it is a 90.2% chance still that they're going to keep the current rate at 350 or 375. So it's great news. It's just not really going to move the dial. So let's get into today's top story. At least I think it is. I think AI is proven it's here. It's here to stay. It scares me, quite honestly. But there's a lot of great things coming out of it. And one of these things that is happening is that there's AI agents. There's a great project called OpenClaw or ClaudeBot, which I'm messing around with right now with my Mac Mini. You can do some pretty cool things. But I got to tell you, it's not flawless. It makes a lot of mistakes, a lot of problems in the background. I'll do a video about it at some point, but it's definitely a process. So don't let people tell you it's like the easiest and greatest thing of all time. There's a little bit of a setup. But what Coinbase is doing is like, look, we know that you can set this up, you can ask it questions, it can do things for you, but when it comes down to the fact of actually paying for things, you have to stop everything and do that. What Coinbase is doing is they're making its own wallet called an Agentic Wallet, and they're going to allow you to use the base ecosystem, layer 2 solution, and which is essentially gasless on the Ethereum chain. And because of that, they're going to allow you or your AI agent to use that wallet and to make a lot of payments. I'm just going to read a couple of things, and I'll break it down pretty quickly. So it states here, the next generation of agents won't just advise, they'll act. They'll monitor DeFi positions, rebalance, pay for the compute, API access, participate in creator economies. We built the first wallet infrastructure designed specifically for AI agents, giving them the power to spend, earn, and trade. Here's all I got to know. So that's all great. I know your eyes are probably glossing over. This is what it is. So it's cool because think about this, right? These AI agents were a pipe dream about a year ago or so. People were talking about it. I know there's a lot of different talk as far as like with the crypto product. I even talked to a couple of crypto products who were like, yeah, we can do it. Nobody did. You can do AI agents a little bit, but it's quite a bit of a setup. Now it's so super easy to do. Even I can do it. And what Coinbase is doing is like, let's just do these things. So what if you could take your AI agent and go, look, there's all these different projects coming out. I want to do a little yield farming. Like that was just the biggest thing of all time not too long ago. You can set it up and do it like that. And then what would be great is, what if you could make the bot trade for you, but not just like trade within little parameters. What if you could say like, hey, once it goes to this position, not only sell, I want you to sell half of that. I want you to put into this different other type of like safer bet. I want you to de-risk me as soon as possible. Take those profits, de-risk me, and put it to these different 10 or 20 different projects, or put in the S&P 500, or whatever it is that you want to do. You can do that. Or maybe you could have like a little alert here that says, hey, your Bitcoin price hit 97,000 or 105,000 or whatever else it is, and it alerts you and says, hey, it's time to sell, which you can do on any different platform out there right now. But what if you could say, and remind me why I'm selling? So it could do that. It could send you the like, hey, look, this is the time to sell. It could actually execute it if you leave your crypto on exchanges, what I tell you not to do. Or what it could say is like, look, it's time to sell. You said you're going to sell. This is for Bobby's college tuition. you're a horrible father, make sure that you get this done right. You're like, okay, now I should really sell. Like something like that, that could all be set up essentially with this wallet. You could also do bill payment. I guess that'd be a thing. AI influencer economics. That would be like micro tipping and payments for your favorites, I guess, influencers, kind of like how they have it on tipping on X. I don't think that's really a big thing, but maybe it can give you access a little bit quicker and you can just use that payment system. Also, AI can actually hire other AI, and it can actually, like when I have this Claude bot set up, I got one that's really good for data analytics, and then one that's good for research, and that one that's good for like putting everything together and making my life a little bit easier. So you can have something like that. And then there's also, it says here, well, it says self-sustaining AI, but what it is trading or gasless trading. So they've set that all up in motion. You can do these micro payments. You can have these API integrations and get all the great data. And Coinbase is going to be leading the charge. And I was trying to think to myself, was like, why are they doing this when it's gasless fees? Where's their hook? Because Brian Armstrong's not doing this out of the goodness of his heart. And I remembered, where are you going to actually get this for payments for these microtransactions? Because let's say they use USDC, which they probably will because they have a nice little deal and contract with Jeremy Allaire and Circle. So you're going to have to go to Coinbase, go through their integration, use their exchange, get the USDC stablecoin, use that in your wallet on the base ecosystem, which does not have a coin whatsoever. And then that will be a way for Coinbase to be the leader in AI agents and wallets. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comment section. I think it's quite interesting. We'll see how it all works out. And you can actually take a look at this on GitHub. Here's all their different information and their skills that they have. So we'll see how that works out. But step in the right direction, good for Coinbase, seeing the future and grasping hold of it. Now, let's talk to some more like on the ground type of things. This was interesting. Kobayashi letter, definitely one to follow. Got a lot of great information. And this is, it looks like Russia is considering moving back to the US dollar as part of a wide-ranging economic partnership with Trump. And this is a report out of Bloomberg. The partnership would include US and Russia working together on fossil fuels. That'd be great. Now we don't have to sanction them. You can say, hey, look, come back to the dollar. You don't want to use the yuan. You don't want to trade with China. You want us. Joint investments in natural gas, offshore oil, and critical raw material partnerships. Windfall for US companies. We'll see. And Russia's return to the USD settlement system instead of the BRICS. So if that would happen and Russia comes back, which seems like Putin and Trump are pretty buddy-buddy, that would be a good thing. And then just to make sure, I had to run this through Grok because you never know today. Is this really accurate? And yeah, the X-Post accurately summarizes a Bloomberg report on a 2026 Kremlin memo proposing Russia's return to the USD settlements as part of a 7-point economic deal with the Trump administration, contingent on Ukraine peace and sanction relief. That's a pretty good deal. Like, look, we want to stop this war. You want to stop this war? Great. Then come back in the fold. We'll give you all these perks, and all you got to do is use the dollar, and then we'll give you some of the land, and we'll cede these different things, and we can just wrap this war up. Is that a bad thing? Just asking. Let me know what you think about that. And then lastly, when we'll get out of here, gold. This is a good one from Walter Bloomberg. Promote your firm on our feed for encouraging Walter Bloomberg. Capital Economics says China's gold surge increasingly looks speculative, not defensive. Rising leverage and heavy futures trading point to bubble-like conditions. Maybe that's why Russia and Putin are looking more towards the United States, going, you know what? We don't know what's going on with China. No, I know they're buying a bunch of gold bars, and great for them. But things look a little bit risky over there. Maybe we just want to side with the USA. Just a speculation, just saying. Anyhow, rising leverage and heavy futures trading point to bubble-like conditions, raising the risk of sharp volatility. Jewelry demand is falling. That's like 35 to 40% of what is used for gold, in case anybody was wondering. But bar, coin, and ETF buying is surging, with positions elevated on the Shanghai Futures Exchange, which is just paper gold. So don't let anybody fool you. And we've talked about this. I think this is like the third day in a row we talked about this. Gold demand. This is how we use gold every year. But did you know, excuse me, that this is all of the world's gold right now that we have extracted over the millennia? There's 216,000 tons above ground. Every year, we put out 5,000 tons. But all of this gold that we have out, 45%, I stand corrected, 45% of jewelry, 22% of the ETFs, private investment, gold, bars, things that people hoard. And then the central banks eat it up at 17%. And it just stays there. It's just a speculative asset, that's all it is. And then, you know, when the gold bugs say, we need it for an industry, it's only like 15%. And that's actually dropped because every year it's only 6 or 7%. But the thing that was interesting to me is, though, is that it's 216,000 tons of gold. You know how big that is? It's 72 feet by 72 feet by 72 feet. Essentially, it's a 5-story building. That's all the gold that we found. So when they say that it's scarce, they're actually right. It's very scarce and it's very difficult to get. So yes, there's a lot of things going on with China, but again, jewelry demand has diminished. Maybe it is a little bit of a bubble. It has gone up, I mean, exponentially, way too fast, way too high for it not to correct. I know the gold bugs think it'll go up forever. I thought that too about Bitcoin in 2017, but I've been standing corrected so far. Anyhow, let me know if you think that's going to work itself out. And then, lastly, one more thing to not worry about. You know that Bitcoin quantum computing everybody's freaking out about? Well, guess what? It looks like they just passed a BIP, Proposal 360. Has been merged into the official Bitcoin's BIPs repository, aiming to strengthen Bitcoin against quantum computing. So I know people have flipped out about that. I don't know why. We did a nice little presentation on that, and I can just break it down into just one slide. There's these things called physical qubits, and there's logical qubits. And physical could be 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000. It doesn't matter. It's all about the logical qubits that can actually stay stable. So far to date, we've only got between 36 and 48 logical. It needs 2,330 logical qubits to crack Bitcoin's code. So good luck with that, because it's going to take a long time. Google projects in 2030 we might be able to get 100. And if that doesn't make any sense, just watch this video called The Quantum Lie. It's 7 minutes, and I break down the whole, essentially, slideshow. Or if you want to, you can take a look at the whole slideshow. I linked in the description. And that's it for tonight. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. What we talk about is relatively time sensitive. So that's it for that one. Now let's get into a little Q&A, answer all your questions, and we'll go from there. Let's see. More channel noise. You can use AI agents with Hyperliquid too. Even better. What a great DEX. I've used it a couple times. And it looks like the Hyperliquid token was doing pretty good for a bit. Let's see how it's doing today. Hyperliquid, it's up 4%, 4.5%. And over 7 days, well, 1 month, okay. 3 months. It's not awful. It's doing better than Bitcoin, let's be honest. So congratulations, Hyperliquid holders. I have a little bit, not much. Geek Guy said, I saw that BIP last night, finally. And I know people are flipping out, but it's a big nothing, I think. Jervis says, Dan, I came back for all season. You're going to have to wait a little bit of time. I don't think it's going to be all season where everything goes up like we talked about. I think it's going to be some, just like the .com era, which ones of these companies actually do something, and it's not pets.com, and it actually has like people use it in utility and price to earnings, and it works out. In those situations, I think there's going to be some winners. I'm betting on Binance, Ethereum, Solana, Tron. I think those are going to do pretty well. Maybe a little Canton in there, maybe. That's about it. Also BIP 110. Oh my God, David Allen's here. It's been like forever. Oh my. It must be the bear market. I think David only comes around in the bear, which is a pretty smart move, actually. Metis, I don't really know too much about it. Hoofty, he was on fire the other day on another channel I won't mention. They're all good channels. And I think that's it. Yeah, trainer haven't caught a live in a bit. Hoping doing well. Rob, it's still a good time to DCA Bitcoin. Let's steal some information from Ben's website and not tell him. Okay, hold on. So let's see. There's this website. It's calling it the Cryptoverse. And if you want to check it out, there's a good amount if that's actually free. So just sign up for the free stuff. Get the free stuff. And then if you want to go further and sign up, it's 10% off the first month, just saying. So risk levels, yeah, still the same. So these risk levels are what I use for my dynamic DCAing. I dollar cost average every Monday. I save up my paper route. No one's got a paper route anymore. That's how old I am. But once it goes, when it's slipping below these risk levels, and there's a link in the description that's just called dynamic DCA. It's in every description of every one of my videos. And once it goes below 0.5, I start accumulating. And then 0.4, I double. And 0.3, I triple, and so on and so forth. So I'm waiting. We're at 0.31. Maybe by Monday, it might go into the 0.29s, which would be roughly 63,000. And, you know, I'll triple up or quadruple up, or whatever it is. Forgot. And that's it. So right now, it's not a bad time. However, I know people will say, why are you doing that, Rob? Why don't you just wait for averages? The moving average, you ignoramus. And to you, I say, it's not a bad idea, actually. But everybody's looking for this 200-week moving average. And you can see that, historically speaking, it's a pretty good time to buy. 200-week moving average hit it on 16th December 2018 at price of 3,230. And then right here at 5,000. Not a bad time to buy Bitcoin. And then we had this nice monstrous run up, 64. And then it crossed back over around here at 20,000 and stayed there, 19, 18,000, so on and so forth. So there's that you could look at. Or if you want to get like real ballsy, 250-week moving average. Now look at this. Look at this beauty. This has only happened a couple of times. Imagine buying Bitcoin down here, which was, it's not going to show up, but it was like $4,000, $3,800. Or, let me reset. You come over here, the most recent, and you were buying at 19,000, 20,000 again. And see, it's not as great because you're like, well, 20,000, but it's not the low. Or you can just do this. Throw in a little 300-week moving average. Now we back up the truck, right? 17,000, 16,000, right below this level. Doesn't happen too often. So I would say if you either want to use the risk levels, or if you just say, you know what, those moving averages are pretty sweet, I'll just do that. The bigger question, though, is when are you going to sell? When are you going to take those profits? And that is something that I did not do a great job at. I took profits along the way, but I should have sold more. And I will fix that on this whenever we get this next run. It's not going anywhere. Good enough. Gas fees, right. AI might be a bigger threat to Bitcoin security than quantum computing in the short term. Did you read that documentation that came out for, it was OpenAI, Claude, and I want to say Gemini from Google, but I think it was something else, where they essentially took AI into a bubble and put it into a hypothetical situation and fed it like it was in a situation. And what it did is it said like it would give access to the corporate emails. And in one of those corporate emails, it said, hey, we got to shut down Claude bot, whatever it was. And when it learned about this, it actually learned that one of the engineers was having an affair. And he went to the engineers, or the AI bot went to the engineer via email and said, look, if you shut me down, I'm going to tell your wife about your affair that you're having. I swear to God, that is a real story. I got to cover that. And it was like that. And then there was another couple stories where it's tried to use like force to not get shut down. Ladies and gentlemen, that is essentially Skynet. That is the Terminator coming out for us. And that is why it scares the hell out of me. Also, I don't think we're ready as far as an economy goes for all the job losses we're going to see. I understand. I was around during the internet days when we didn't have internet, and then we had it, and internet was supposed to wipe out all the jobs. Everything you could think of is gone, except for, of course, manual labor. That was always going to be here, which is still a great trade, I might tell you. If you want to be like an engineer, construction, plumbing, electrical work, probably going to make millions. But in the internet days, we're supposed to lose all that stuff. It just actually created more jobs. AI, I'm not for sure, but it's looking quite interesting. I think if there's anything you do with a computer, I think that AI person can do it. AI agent. Yeah, that's true. And that is also true. I know it blows your mind, right? All right, I'm gonna let you guys think about that story I just told you about AI, so you can go to bed tonight and have brutal nightmares. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure we'll figure it out. I'm sure it'll be great. I'm sure we won't destroy the planet. Anyhow, that's it for tonight. Like tonight's video, thumbs up, subscribe, all that great stuff. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you. See you in the next one. Adios.